Assalamu alaikum. Okay, the Sheikh has just come into the studio. Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh,
Excellent. Apologies
how you
for the
doing?
delay. I'm
No.
sure I was gonna be on time today, but when no one actually sat down here, I thought, wait, 7 minutes have gone already. No.
Mm.
You're just
Time
too
is fine when you
Jamaican,
want to
man.
have fun.
Too Jamaican, man. Too Jamaican.
Yes,
Go for
brother.
it.
Okay, Sheikh. Bismillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Okay, this is the second part. We kind of want to discuss the relationship between the student of knowledge and the scholars and his responsibility in passing on knowledge to the community, um, or his community where he lives and whatever. But first, we want quick recap the fact that the position of the lay person in regards to not being in a position to argue or create argument within his community on whatever point he believes in, or what is his role. Just if you can just summarize it as the position of the lay person, doesn't know Arabic, has found himself a teacher. What is his kind of position in the community?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Let me just plug in the iPads before the battery dies.
تفضل شيخ تفضل.
Okay. So first and foremost,
Quick recap. Yeah.
I think it's important to frame things correctly, especially when anyone who's listening to this may have ideas. It's actually I reckon people should do probably even a course
Mm.
on how to understand what people speak and what people say, because sometimes it's actually even in Medina, you actually have to learn how to understand how ulama speak before you even can begin to understand what they're even saying. Meaning, not saying that they're not
Okay.
saying that they're speaking in riddles, but what I've seen directly and experienced indirectly what misunderstandings of what the sheikh has said can lead to. So let me just clarify what I'm saying here. When we're discussing about who can and cannot speak, it's not something that we're limiting to the army, to the layman. This is just anyone who doesn't have the full picture. That could even be a scholar. I mean,
Yes.
is even a scholar shouldn't speak about things that he's unaware of. For example, if you ask a sheikh, what do you reckon about the interest rate hike in the UK? Do you reckon it's a good idea? And my man has no idea about the British economy or what interest hikes even mean. Whatnot. And he goes, I had this keda, keda, keda. I'm just saying that it's not just because he's a sheikh or a student of knowledge or a lay person. These attributes mean nothing in discussion of should a person open their mouth and talk about something. And if you just look at the attributes, not the person, not the individual, just look at the attributes. Does this person have knowledge of the affair? If the answer is no, no speaking. If the answer is yes, speak. And it's just that simple. But the issue is when we say that the ulama have the right to speak and the tulab al-ilm have the right to speak and the general people don't have the right to speak, those are just a synonym or a symbol for those who know and those who don't know. The alim is allowed to speak because he knows. That's the definition of an alim. And the layman is not allowed to speak on these affairs because by the fact of being a layman, we're attributing the knowledge, the description of he doesn't know.
Yes.
What I'm trying to get at here is that these titles can become almost meaningless titles if we don't understand why they were given that title in the first place. An alim was given a title because he knows the ilm al-sharia. But that doesn't make him an alim in mechanics or physics or biology or computing, or he's an alim in his field of ilm, which is sharia. Just like a person is a layman in the field of sharia, but he may even be an alim in economics or engineering or
Medicine or something.
in
Yeah.
medicine or something. Do you get what I'm saying? So sometimes, especially people that get stuck up on the names, and it really irritates me and annoys me that people get stuck up on names. Like I like this, I'll say to them, "Oh, كيف حالك يا شيخ? How are you, oh sheikh?" And say, "Oh, I'm not a sheikh." I said, bro, do you know the word sheikh has so many meanings? I'm not saying you're an alim of the deen. I'm just saying, oh,
Yes.
sheikh of respect. I mean, even in UAE, the leaders, the you can say prime ministers and the MPs, their equivalents, they're called shuyukh, as in sheikh
Mm.
is a person of respect.
Mm.
Also, someone's going grey, you know, getting a bit of grey coming out.
You call
You
him
know, when
sheikh.
he's gone there, is sheikh now, isn't it? So
Mm.
people get stuck up on the titles, and I think people lose sight of the it's like
Oh, 1 second. The internet's gone a bit slow.
persona as opposed to a person's. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now. You're
Hello.
back. Yeah, Fadl. You're back now. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to get that out there because again, it's important for people to understand the terminologies used. Terminologies used. So when you call someone a mujtahid, an alim mujtahid, for
Mm.
example, reason we give the title mujtahid as opposed to just an alim is an alim who is someone who knows, where the mujtahid is given to someone who not only knows the affairs of the Sharia, but has the capacity, the added capacity to do ijtihad, independent ijtihad in certain masail, certain issues, bil fi'l, as in it immediately you can do ijtihad right now, or even with research, where someone may be an alim in affairs, but not be able to do ijtihad in a certain affair. Same thing, same issue with the title mufti. People have the word mufti. So and so is a mufti, and this guy's not a mufti. What does that mean? All
Mm.
the mufti means is that I've gone to him with a certain scenario, so situation, Sheikh, my situation is like this. What do you say? And he gives you an answer. He gives you futya. He gives you an answer to your question. So
Mm.
you will be the mustafti, the one who's asking the question, and he'll be the mufti, the one who answers the question. So even that, do you need to be an alim or mujtahid to be a mufti? No. All you need to
Mm.
do is to be able to answer his question. If all
Yes.
you have is only amount of knowledge to answer his specific question, you are mufti in that
That
bab,
situation.
in that situation. You may
Mm.
be a jahil in everything else, but in that particular question, you're
Mm.
a mufti to ask that question. Or
Mm.
maybe you're mufti in general things like salah and wudu and ghusl and the rest of it. You can answer questions, you're a mufti. When
Yes.
it comes to the affairs of government and governance and jihad and aggression against a nation state, you're not the person to ask. That's not your bab.
Mm.
So you get what I'm saying? People need to understand that there isn't some blanket description or qualification that as soon as you get this, boom, you take on this attribute to answer and do everything. And just to conclude this, one of the reasons why I think it's important to highlight this issue is sometimes people take ulama of the deen
Mm.
as ulama of everything.
Got
As if
you.
to say the alim can speak about everything, literally everything. He could talk about this, he could talk about that. I mean, no doubt he has knowledge of the Sharia. And as Sheikh Albani mentioned, and I love this thing what he mentioned, because he was debating when this is what issue when Algeria had the elections before the fitna kicked off. This is probably like the
Okay.
80s, 70s, long.
Yes. FIS is FIS?
I'm not sure the details, but I know
Yeah,
because this
yeah.
was before I was even Muslim, I think. But the point
Mm-hmm.
was is that the Algerians government, they allowed elections, and apparently the
Yes.
Muslim groups won the election, but the
Yeah.
government didn't want to allow it. So there was like
Yeah, they
issues.
cancelled the elections basically.
They
Yeah.
cancelled the election, yeah. So
Mm.
some of these people went to the Sheikh Albani to get advice.
Mm.
And then Sheikh was saying, don't fight and the rest of it. And then some were retaliating saying, oh, Sheikh, he doesn't know the waqi, he doesn't know the
Yes.
reality of the situation in Algeria.
Mm.
And that statement isn't false. Listen carefully. That statement
Mm-hmm.
isn't false.
Mm-hmm.
But as people say, kalimatu haqqin urida biha al-batil, a statement of truth that is intended by falsehood, meaning they intended by that statement to nullify the Sheikh's advice,
Yes.
not that it was actually a false statement. But what the Sheikh replied back, it was a beautiful reply. He said, yes, no doubt you are more knowledgeable of your situation. That isn't
Mm-hmm.
without doubt than I am, no doubt.
Mm.
But you are not knowledgeable of the hukum of your situation, the ruling of your situation. So
Okay.
take your situation and explain it to the alim so that he is also now aware of the situation,
Mm.
so that he can now use his knowledge of the Sharia to give you the hukum, the ruling of that reality. The point here is the nuance in this statement here isn't only the fact that just because you know the situation of your reality better than the scholar. That's one nuance. But also the other part is that the sheikh, he's one who knows the hukum of the situation. So you need to combine the two. Bring that knowledge of the reality that you have, bring the knowledge of the sheikh that he has, and put them together so you can get the correct answer, get the correct hukum. Bring it back to my point here is that sometimes people think that just because a person is knowledge of the Sharia, that automatically has knowledge of everything else. So back to your initial question, I had a big rant. Back to your initial question,
no problem.
a person that shouldn't, an Ami shouldn't speak. I extend that question. I extend it to everything. Nobody should really speak about anything until they have full knowledge of whatever that thing is, or best way to put it, they should until they have full knowledge enough to make their answer valid. And that's actually why the scholars reject, well, not the scholars, as when it comes to the consensus, ijma', when ulama agree on something, they have an ijma' on something. When I was asking myself, when I first started to, like my first couple of years in Medina, I was thinking to myself, yeah, ijma' is good in that. But does that mean I thought to myself, am I included in this ijma'? If I agree, if you agree, if you all agree, is that what is meant by ijma'? And the scholar said, no. Ijma' means the consensus of all of those who can find the truth. They have the tools available to find the truth. Not the everyday man, not the guy who herds sheep or the guy who sells dates at the market, but the ones who actually have the capacity to find the truth. If those people all agree, that's considered an ijma'. So no doubt the general people might differ amongst themselves, but that's because they have no knowledge of the Sharia. And that's why we don't factor them in. Likewise, in affairs of the dunya, one must know both the knowledge of the Sharia and knowledge of what they are speaking about before they have an answer. And I know one last bit of the rant. Before I graduated, literally like months before I graduated Medina University, one sheikh actually gave us advice. His name is Sheikh Faisal Haydari. He said, you guys are going to be going out now to your countries, returning back with the knowledge. And I advise you to make connections with the people of your balad. Make connection with the traders of your balad, connections with the mechanics, make connections with the people of your balad. Because you have knowledge of the Sharia, but you don't have knowledge of everything. And you may need to reach out and lean upon those who have knowledge of those other affairs, knowledge of how business works in the UK, how business works in mechanics and
mortgages and stuff
more,
like that.
yeah, knowledge of whoever these people are. Make connections with them so that when you are asked, you know who to call to get the full picture, so you can apply your knowledge of the Sharia on their situation.
Question.
Go for it.
As a student of knowledge, mashallah, you come back from Medina, you're busy. When you do want to get a fatwa for a situation, do you immediately seek that knowledge from abroad, or do you look to UK students of knowledge or scholars? Because obviously one of the point is that to understand the hal of the people. Where do you think is the best? It obviously depends on the situation. What's your general feeling on the situation?
So me in practice, I'm probably not the best example to ask in that regards, because unfortunately, since I graduated, I became very, 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 very much busy with the whole institute thing, hiring teachers, paying bills, and the rest of it. So unfortunately, over the years, my connection with the scholars back home, direct connection in terms of message and whatnot, has weakened somewhat. As opposed to like the brothers like Abdul Wahid, for example, who managed to maintain a good connection with scholars. So when he does have questions that he's unable to answer, he literally just fires a question to someone who has a good connection to and gets an answer. So for me personally speaking, if someone asks me a question and I don't have the immediate answer because I haven't studied it before, I will just say I don't know, and I'll say ask Abdul Wahid to ask someone, or maybe I'm on occasion, it's not often. I might say, that's a good question, and I want to know myself. So I would actually send a question to Abdul Wahid and say, brother, could you ask Sheikh so because you chat to him, what's the answer? And on occasions, maybe some of my teachers in Saudi, if it's a question I reckon they can answer, I will fire a question to them, because I do have still maintain connection with some of my teachers. So basically, it's like anything. I mean, me as a quote unquote student knowledge, whatever that means, me as a graduate from Medina University, I am just like anyone, really. I'm any old army, meaning if I don't know the answer, so imagine I'm a general person, I haven't studied anything, I don't know the answer, I would ask someone who I think who does. But likewise, if I'm also an army, a general person, and I do know the answer to something, I'll just do what I need. I already know. It just so happens that maybe I know the answer to more things than the general person. So someone asks me, "Oh, brother, you know, if I make wudu and I forget to say Bismillah ar-Rahim, or how do I deal with that?" I know the answer to that because I've studied it. So I just say, yeah, that's the answer, and that's the end of it. But if I don't know the answer, just like if an army doesn't know the answer, I will go to someone more knowledgeable than myself, or just know my limits and say, look, I don't know. You know, maybe ask another person who may know, or question or whatnot. Or the other option would be just to literally look upon the fatwa of the scholars, and that's one of the
Yes.
benefits of modern era, which I think we need to even touch upon. I think this is going to be more and more an issue as time moves on, is the impact of the internet on fatwa. We literally have at our fingertips the capacity to find answers like that, really. I mean, within half an hour, we can get an answer from a sheikh, from an alim, whether it be video answer, whether it be a sound answer, whether it be
Okay.
written, where we can find answers to our questions.
I mean,
On the internet.
what another important point is the responsibility of the student of knowledge in going to a sheikh for a particular question.
Yeah.
For example, that sheikh who he goes to, is he qualified in that particular area? Maybe your closeness to a certain sheikh may make you choose a certain sheikh who may not be suitable. Just to outline the kind of responsibilities and the methodology of dealing with scholars in getting rulings for your community. When you come back to your community and say, okay, Sheikh Fulan said this, Sheikh Fulan said that, what is that responsibility like when you're in front of the people and you're giving fatwa?
So my response, my personal position in regards to that is kind of has been influenced by my previous experience with the likes of SP and the rest of them. Meaning, um, I've seen in the past how people cherry pick fatwa from whoever they feel will give answers that are in line with whatever they already have conviction on in the first place. And I feel that's an incorrect position to take, or incorrect behavior to have. We shouldn't ask questions to scholars that we feel are going to give us the answers we want. We should just ask questions to scholars because we are confident the scholar can give the right answer. So in that regard, I don't really have any special criteria in asking any particular person. My only criteria is, do I believe that they can answer? Sorry, do I trust that they would tell me I don't know if they don't know? And I think that's my position of all things. If I ask someone something, I'm not going to ask them because I believe he's going to say X, Y, Z, and because I've heard him say other things, and therefore I believe. No, my only criteria in my head is, do I believe that the sheikh will tell me I don't know if he genuinely does not know? Because the thing is, if you feel that the sheikh may answer a question and you feel he may think he knows but he doesn't know, or whatever the case may be, then I'll be apprehensive. But if I feel the sheikh, if I'm confident and I've seen myself from a sheikh say, Wallahu alam, I don't know, that actually is a good thing for me. I actually like a scholar to say, to me, even me, in my experience, to say, I don't know the answer, because that shows me that he knows his limits. He knows where the buck stops. He knows where to say, okay. And I have one particular sheikh, actually, mashallah, Allah bless him, I love him a lot, Sheikh Abdul Awaji. This sheikh, when he taught me tafsir, this sheikh, when he came into lesson, he taught me tafsir for like well over a year. So it was like more than one semester. So it was like over a year. Tafsir Al Imran and Falam and other surahs. But he used to come into class. Actually, I'll just show you. He used to come into class literally with like the register. That was it. He's coming to class with paper like this. That's it. He would just come to class with just like this. And that all this was like a register, just the name of whoever's supposed to be in class. You give it to someone, do the register, and you just do the class. By the way, you're on mute. By the way, just do the class like that. So all his knowledge he gave on tafsir, when it comes to the different narrations that was given, all of the chains of narration and the discussion about the authenticity, and Ibn Kathir says also, and Tabari said, all of that was just literally from his head. He was literally ajib. He was the head of the Quran section or faculty of Quran when I was there.
I mean,
still, hold on, but still, that same sheikh who was like, you think, mashallah, my man is just next level. When you ask him questions about certain things, he don't know. He says, "Wallahi, wallahi, adri." And he would say, he himself would text his sheikh, and then he would send me a screenshot of what his sheikh said to him. So it's literally like a chain. I'm a student of knowledge asking this sheikh, who he himself asking his sheikh to get the answer. And that's what I love that about him, because I knew that if he did give me an answer, it's because he was confident he knew the answer. And if he didn't give me the answer, he would ask his sheikh the answer. And on occasion, even his sheikh will say, Wallahu alam.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. I mean, the reality is, not all scholars are the same.
Not all people are the same. That's fact.
Not all people are the same. Not all people are the same. And the student of knowledge who is so-called representing his community has to make choices as to who he's gonna ask certain questions to, and understand who he's asking. If you get what I'm saying, how much is that a responsibility as well? That when the student of knowledge is looking for fatwa, who he's going to ask, and etc.
Yeah, I mean, one important thing to mention as well about the issue of asking questions. I think it's important for people to understand this when they themselves go to ask questions from the shaykh. And you ask yourself, even you need to ask yourself in your head before you even ask others. Are you asking the question to get the absolute truth, or are you asking the question to get an answer you can act upon? Meaning, do you acknowledge that maybe the sheikh will give you an answer that isn't actually true with Allah, but it is still sufficient to act upon? Because if
you have to explain that one,
yeah. So what I mean by that is, imagine you asked the sheikh a question, and he gave you an answer, and you acted upon that answer, and Yawmul Qiyamah, Allah asks you why you did that, and you said, because I asked the sheikh, and Allah informs you, but actually what he said was incorrect. This is what I intended by the Sharia.
Okay.
But is that sufficient for you? Did you want, is that okay for you, or did you actually want to get the absolute answer? Because the reason why I asked that question, because if you intend by the answer the absolute truth, you're going to be disappointed. And that is not even the intent of the answer. It is a transference of liability. Meaning, if I asked the sheikh a question and he gave a simple answer and he did it, what does that mean for you? It means, Alhamdulillah, I did what Allah told me to do. He said, ask the people of knowledge if you don't know.
Yes.
And I asked the people of knowledge because I didn't know. Now it's their responsibility if it is true or not mine.
Yeah.
I just do my only role here is to ask, and I got the answer. Why is this important? Because now when it comes to, like you mentioned, like we discussed last week, when it comes to dealing with other people and what they have been told with mashayikh, like they asked their sheikh something and they got a different answer. Yes. You can now interact with them better because you understand, okay, they did their wajib, ask a sheikh and got the answer, and I did my wajib, I asked my sheikh, got the answer, and we're cool. We're fine. He did his thing, I did my thing. We should be cool.
We should be cool.
We should be. But if I believe that my sheikh's answer is the absolute truth,
yes,
and what his answer is has to be wrong, then, because you can't have two absolute truths. And for those who not understand that word absolute truth,
got you.
We have subjective truths and we have absolute truth. A subjective truth is a truth according to my perspective, based on the knowledge I have. This is the truth, and in that frame, we all have different truths, and there are multiple truths. Be careful, everyone. Listen carefully. There are multiple truths. Let me give you an example. Inside the Hanbali madhab, a person who plays chess is a fasiq, and a person who plays chess, his witness is not even accepted in criminal law. If you go to bear witness in court and whatnot, his witness is rejected if he's a known chess player, except if he's Shafi'i, because Shafi'is don't hold chess to be haram. So even in the Hanbali madhab, they've acknowledged relative truth, i.e., if you're a Hanbali and your frame is a Hanbali, then you're operating in this world that chess is haram.
Okay,
And in that frame, in that behavior, if you still play chess, that means you're a fasiq, because you're doing something you internally believe is haram.
yes.
But
Okay,
a Shafi'i is a different
mhm,
frame. He's
yes.
working in a paradigm that chess is fine. So if he does play chess, he's not even committing a sin in his mind, in his mindset. So he can be a
So,
righteous person and play chess.
so that Hanbali cannot call that Shafi'i a fasiq, because
Exactly.
under his madhab, it's permissible.
Perfect. Exactly
And
that.
and this kind of brings up the issue of what you might say the Salafis fell into, is that, okay, you're following your Sheikh's position and I'm following my Sheikh's position, but we were still at loggerheads. We were still breaking off relationships with each other, still not talking to each other, even though you might say the two camps followed whatever Mashiach they chose, but we still
Yeah.
chose to, criticize each other
Yeah.
and say this one's not on the manhaj and this one's, it was very bad.
But you know why though? The reason why is very simple.
Mm,
Because they
mm.
perceived that this is the issue
Ah,
of qat'iyat, that this is the
yes.
issue of absolute truths.
Truth. Yes.
And this is
Yes,
and
yes,
this is
yes.
this is this is why it's so dangerous
Very important
to
point.
have
Very
such
important point.
behavior,
Mm.
especially as it relates to things that are 100% dhanniya. Meaning,
Yes.
for example, this is the classic one. Whenever I see these questions, especially I get it in my comments in like Twitter or on Facebook or not Facebook, I don't use Facebook, or like on YouTube. They say,
Mm.
"What's your opinion about so and so?" I laugh
Mm.
because I'm like,
Yes.
opinion about a person.
Mm.
People change every single day, brother. What people say, people talk in terms that don't even mean. People do things they don't intend. Human beings are by default broken shatters of glass. We're
Yeah.
not one uniform piece of gold. We are filled with mistakes, errors,
Mm.
misunderstandings, sin,
Changes. Mm.
change, whatever. So to build an opinion, or to have an opinion, a qat'i opinion which is like between Ahl Bid'ah and Ahl Dalal and Islam on a person's behavior
Mm.
is very what's the word? It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
So to say, what do you say about so and so? And then when I say, what do you say about so and so, this is you got to look at the frame of the question. It's not a casual question. Oh, brother, what do you say about so and so and his position on X, Y, and Z? Because that's a valid question. I mean, are
Mm.
you okay with saying that George and George were zombies? I mean, is that an okay opinion to you? I mean, you can ask that question. That's a valid question.
Yes.
The question is, I am asking this question to you as a test. If he answers this way, then he's like that, and if he answers that way, then he's like that.
Yeah.
So you see here that this whole manhaj is
Mm-hmm.
built on a fallacy that somehow, somewhere, these issues are from the qat'iyat, are from the yaqiniyat, from the absolutes.
Mm.
When
I
there
mean,
are
but
the majority of fiqh itself, with actual hadith and ayat, where ulama have discussed this for many centuries,
mm.
even those issues, majority of them are dhanniya and not
Mm.
qat'iyah. So
Mm.
what would be a case of hukm on a person who isn't even dead yet,
Yes.
who may even say things with his tongue and actually mean something else in his heart, may be compelled due to pressures of government, maybe compelled due to being threatened. There's so many things that could go wrong or could happen.
Mm.
But yeah, you're gonna build a whole frame of wala wal bara, allegiances and disassociation upon people on your view on someone. And
Mm.
that's why even when I first graduated, I had a big issue with someone brother. And they said, "Oh, what do you say about someone? What do you say about so and so?" I said, "Look, forget him and forget him.
Yeah.
If you have questions to
Mm.
ask me about the mas'ala.
Okay.
Let's talk about the issue at hand. Not
Yes.
the person who holds the issue, but the issue at hand.
Mm.
So forget
Mm.
the person who said, Ya'juj and Ma'juj can
He's
be
a zombie.
zombies. Let's
Mm.
talk about the issue of Ya'juj and Ma'juj being zombies. Is it possible
Mm.
that this issue is a valid opinion?
Mm.
You can hold your opinion about the person after the fact if you want to do so. But if you want to know my personal position, it's irrelevant to ask me about the individual who holds that position and ignore the actual mas'ala, the issue we're discussing. Does it make sense? It becomes a pointless endeavor to build a whole framework around individuals and forget the topics that brings about these issues. But that's so back to the issue of the Tulab al-Ilm, back to the issue which we can get distracted from is my fault really. But for the you're mute, by the way, you're mute.
No, I think that the issue is important, to stop argumentation amongst the ummah, amongst the Muslims. At what points you can argue over, what point you can have a stance on, and what stance you say, okay, that's your opinion, and just leave it. Do you get what I'm saying? I
I
think
mean,
we are confused because I'm going to take
look what we just discussed 2 weeks ago, the Badr Club. Yeah.
Yes.
And we've all seen the comments in on Twitter and YouTube and the rest of it, calling Imran this, that, yeah, but he's a scammer, he's this, he's that, and blah blah blah. Okay.
Yeah.
All of those statements were statements about the individual, based on a fiqh issue that he obviously dealt with, that he obviously held an opinion. So he obviously felt it was okay to do what he did. So that's his opinion.
Yes.
And they felt it was not okay to do whatever. That was their opinion. So rather than discuss the issue at hand, what do? They transcend the whole discussion onto the individual.
To the person.
And pass ahkam on the individual. And on top of that, now made allegiances. What are you supporting that man? Are you against that man? Are you?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Am I supporting the guy
you
or
can't
against
go
the
on
guy?
you can't go on the course. If you go on the course, you're astray, or etc.
I
etc.
don't think anyone went that far about calling people astray if they went on the course, but they did, listen carefully, and I definitely I definitely received some comments back to me. People definitely directed towards me specifically, opinions about me, and even my Salafiyya, based on my differing with their opinion about this issue, which is a fiqh issue.
Yes.
Even one brother said, "Oh, this is he mentioned about the Hizbiyyin and the methodology of the Hizbiyyin is that they don't return to the scholars." He was indirectly referring to me.
Yes.
About what? An issue of calling a club Badr and using 313 as a number in whatever they used it in. So now they've you see how we're going from one thing here, which is a fiqh discussion, to now criticizing a person's deen, criticizing
your soul, brother. Your soul, the manhaj is off over on this.
bringing topics of hizbiyya in the conversation. Bro, wallahi, can someone explain to me in the comments in this conversation, where did the conversation of hizbiyya come into this discussion of Badr Club? Why was it even mentioned as a conversation? Why was it even wala and bara? Why was it even enmity and hatred and anxiety against people who didn't hold their opinion even brought into conversation? It was a discussion. It was an issue. They had an opinion. I had an opinion. It wasn't from the qat'iyat. And let me explain again before I can using these terms, assuming everyone knows. When we say qat'i and we say dhanni, what does that mean? In the Sharia, we have something called, let's say qat'iyya. Qat'iyya means there is no other valid interpretation. The evidence that has come to us is 100% absolutely the truth.
Give me some examples, Sheikh. Give me some examples that are clear.
The obligation of salah.
Okay.
Anyone who denies the obligation of salah, even if they pray, are not Muslim. Why? Because the evidence that has come to us that salah is wajib, the 5 daily salah is wajib, is qat'iyya. There is no avenue to this to differ. The obligation of zakah, the obligation of fasting Ramadan, the obligation of hajj, i.e. the pillars of Islam. These evidences have come to us in a manner that there actually is no leeway to allow there to be another opinion in the obligation. However, the obligation of witr, the Hanafiya say is wajib. Everyone else says not wajib. The Hanafiya have evidence and others have evidence. And there is avenue for discussion about which evidence is more strong or not strong. But because there is an avenue for discussion, it's no longer from the qat'iyya, the absolute truths. It's now a relative truth. He has evidence from his perspective. He has evidence from his perspective. There is one of them that is true.
Yes.
But there is an ihtimal. There is a possibility, at least as it relates to the evidence, that the other opinion could be correct. So it's a bit like saying, we're traveling in the desert. I ask you, bro, where's the qibla? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's in that direction because the sun is here and blah, blah, blah. No, I say we go pray in that direction. But then it turns out, but then I ask you, but could you be wrong though, brother? Yeah, of course I could be wrong. I mean, I gave you my evidence from looking at the sun and whatnot and the wind and how he was traveling, but
Yes.
it's possible that I'm wrong.
Mm.
I can even use my phone. I can even use a compass on my phone to get the qibla.
Mm.
But I'm not going to say to you, barefaced, that my phone can never be wrong and that my thing can never be wrong. It's possible in
Yes.
this world that we live in that the compass on my phone could be affected. And that
It
actually
could be in
happened the other
different.
day.
Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
I don't know if you remember when we went to that bus thing, that travel right there, that with Sheikh Abdul Malik, the Islam in London thing, the bus.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And there was a time when I was looking for the Qibla, and
Mm-hmm.
brother was, because you remember that at that building that was supposed to be a masjid next to Liverpool Street.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we were wondering, why is this facing that way? And my phone said the Qibla was this way. And we was like, we
Mm-mm.
were scratching head, why does this look like this wrong
Mm-mm.
direction? And it
Mm.
turned out the magnet on my wallet
Okay. Messed up the
was
ma- the ma-
affecting
the compass. Yeah.
the compass.
Mm-mm.
So we can see
Yeah.
that even in things like the direction of Qibla, it's not absolute fact that we're going to have ism and schism about. It's
Mm.
possible, with all the evidence I bring, that I still could be wrong. It's
Yes.
unlikely, but there is an ihtimal. That small possibility brings it down from the yaqiniyat, the absolute 100% truths,
Mm-hmm.
down to the dhanniyat, which is more likely true, but not that level of yaqeen.
Mm-hmm.
Allah
So
is one, Muhammad is the
yeah.
messenger of Allah. These are the yaqiniyat.
Yes. So the big question is, because we did have a period of time where people were throwing people out of Ahl Sunnah or throwing people out of Salafiyya over issues which were issues of Ikhtilaf or Dhanni. So what we're saying is, well, if someone goes against something who's a qati'at, something which is like going against the Salah or denying the Prophet's messengership, this is something we can say, okay, this person is no longer from Ahl Sunnah or this person is no longer Salafi. What we found is people were throwing people out of Salafiyya over issues where there was room for Ikhtilaf.
Not necessarily that. Not, I want to go to say that, because what you're saying there is the way you framed that question was specific to what happened in the past. I'm not talking
Yes.
about what happened in the past. I'm
Okay.
saying generically, people were, and people still do,
Mm-hmm.
throw people or doubt a person's Islam or their Salafiyya
Salafiyya.
based on things, events
Mm-hmm.
that may even be, for the sake of argument, may even be from the qat'iyyat. Let's assume that they're from the
Mm-hmm.
qat'iyyats, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't. But it's still relatively new that maybe not even they have come to that knowledge. As in, for
Okay.
example, just because let's say, for example, that someone had an opinion about something, and another
Mm-hmm.
person had another opinion about something, yeah, and it manifests that one of those opinions was manifest wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you look at the evidence, you see clearly one of the opinions was wrong.
Yes.
Because it's a new situation, just happened right today. It's not like an old 1,400-year-old scenario. It's something that just happened like in the last couple of
A
months.
a new fiqh issue,
A new
Bitcoin, for
issue,
example.
new issue, a new person said something new on the internet, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's possible that the person you're speaking to is
Mm-hmm.
unaware of what you know.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On top of that, maybe not only is he not unaware of what you know, maybe he rejects what you say because of how you're behaving or who you are, or there could be so many excuses for the
Mm.
person. But yeah, people are still taking the strong stance on something which is so fresh and new and is not defined. It makes sense.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
basically why the ulama in look at the books of fiqh, even with the things that are clear cut,
Mm-hmm.
apostasy, there is still istitaba. There's still a moment of time where he is
Mm-hmm.
given the opportunity to repent, where he's given
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity to have conversation, dialogue, so that he understands the situation at hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that once he understands the situation and is given time to contemplate that situation, then we can say, okay, he has no more excuses. But you see that's the methodology of the ulama on Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Transplant that or apply that to what we do as the general folk in the West. We
Yes.
have a discussion online, smash the keys a bit, and then end the
Yes.
conversation mubtadi' or
Mm.
hizbi or blah blah. Brother,
Yeah. I mean, this. Sorry to cut you. This is the key point in regards to the student of knowledge who has spoke to his sheikh and has come back with an opinion which he thinks is the correct opinion, and he's narrating that his opinion to the community.
yeah,
I think he should also say to his community that, okay, well, this is our stance. So we know there is a difference of opinion on this issue. It's not a case of, well, okay, we believe we're right, but still have rahma with with the other communities who differ with you. But I thought it was taught like, okay, we're on the haq, they're on batil, and then whatever happened happened.
Thing is, in looking at the history of Salafiyya and those scenarios, I think one of the interesting things about that,
Mm-hmm.
which I would draw everyone's attention to from what I learned from the son of Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, Sheikh Abdul
Mm-hmm.
Razak al-Abbad. He mentioned in one of his lessons, which is something I really find really amazing to this day, that over a decade later. He said, sometimes a person would raise an issue to the people
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't even affect them. It's not even in their sphere,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they raise it to them under the guise of warning against the evil. And in the attempt at warning against the evil, they actually go ahead and spread that same evil. So
Mm.
bringing back to, I'm not specifying any particular issue in the past, because so many things happened in the past. But I'm sure
Yeah.
you remember from the times of the noughties and the 90s, many issues that had nothing to do with us in the West were raised to us in the West. And
That's
it was made a
another
fitna to us.
responsibility. That's another responsibility of the student of knowledge as well, not to raise issues that don't concern us. Mm.
And that's one of the things that we learn as students, that asks Abdul Wahid, asks other girls that graduated. There were so many things we thought as students of knowledge in Medina, we thought was important.
Mm.
Knowledge of hadith, knowledge of this, knowledge. We thought all these things were important. Then we came back here, we realized that what people are asking us, what they're actually dealing with every day,
Mm.
is none of that. No
Yeah.
one's asking about
Yeah.
most of what we study. Most of what we
Mm.
study is like it's like it's like a mechanic. It's up to him to know all the intricate details of how an engine works. It's only up to me to know where to put the oil, where to put the
Yes.
water, and a few things to check, and that's it.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, I'll take it to the mechanic. I don't know. I don't know about brake fluid. I don't know
You want
about
to know how to drive the car. You want to know
slave
how to keep the
cylinder
car
and main
moving.
cylinder. I don't know. I
Mm.
don't know about anything to do with engine. I just know engine turn. Fill up the basic stuff. Windscreen wipers change. That's the basic stuff I have to do.
Mm.
So when it comes to the people, and what's the responsibility of the student knowledge is to focus the people on that which
Mm.
benefits them. And
Yes.
many times people come to me about these issues, and they ask me, well, Sheikh, what do you say about this? Well, what do you say about
Mm.
this? And sometimes I ask them, why do you want to know? I
Yes.
mean, are you even affected by this? There is even if you never knew the answer, is your life still going good?
Mm.
If the answer
Yes.
is
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
then again, احرص على ما ينفعك. Hasten towards that which benefits you. There are many issues that a person has. It's a nice to know. It
Mm.
doesn't benefit. It doesn't affect them at all. For
Mm.
example, what so and so said in Yemen, far away, in his little classes to his students,
Yes.
and his position on so and so, has it affected this person?
No.
No. Did he even know it existed? No. Will it change their day-to-day life and dealing with their wife and their children and their work
Mm.
colleagues and praying in the masjid and doing the salah? Is any part of what they have to do as a Muslim affected by this?
Mm.
No. So then, brother,
What
why?
do you think? I mean, this is the. I know I'm keep reflecting on the past as to how things were handled, but do you think some of our students of knowledge let us down, or there was major mistakes in regards to introducing the community into these issues which we had no business understanding or knowing, or was it just inevitable that we
See, the
was
thing
going to
is,
fall into this fit now?
it's. I think it's unfair to judge the past
Mm.
essentially on what we know today, because after things have manifested itself, after things have developed, we know now
Hmm.
more than we knew then. And it's fully
Yes.
possible that at the time things were so new that we
Mm.
acted this way, like COVID. Like COVID. What we knew
Okay.
when COVID first dropped is not the same what we know now, 2 years on.
Yeah.
So we look back at 2020 and think, wow, that was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction there, wasn't it?
Yes.
We just like
Yes.
went way over the top in
Way
that
overboard.
regards.
Got
But
you.
we can't look back and say, yeah, what we did there was wrong, because then we didn't know what we knew now.
Mm.
Now we know about the booster, we know about that's right, the jab, and then after that we know the booster, and then after and now we're hearing research that the kids who were given the jabs and the booster are more likely to get it in the future than those who didn't get it. And we're all these things that we're getting exposed to now.
Mm.
Again, also those who were infected, 99 point something percent of them still survived, only like 1% or something who actually died. All these
Yes.
things we know now,
Now.
we didn't know
Mm.
then. So it's really unfair to say that what we did then, especially us individuals, not even us, the government, who knows what they knew, but us, for us, we can't really look back and say, "Ah, you're an idiot." We not really. We were acting on what we knew then. I mean,
What
even
were
us
you?
as a madrasa, when
Gotcha.
I remember specifically in February, there was like a hum-hummer, there was like a little murmur that something was happening, something was spreading. It was like, and then it was just the rate of the momentum of the spread of the news and the seriousness of it and how much it was being spoken about, that our knee-jerk reaction was to shut down the madrasa,
Yes, yes.
because we didn't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if
Best
you
to be
ask
cautious.
me, if you said to me, here's a time machine, go back to old Muawi and give him advice, I'll probably say, bro, chill, man. You know,
Keep it open.
it ain't
Keep it
that bad.
open. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily keep it
Yeah.
open. I'll probably still shut it down. But
It's not
the
that
point
bad.
was, the point was, you could have saved yourself a lot of heartache and emotional stress. Because I remember, and here's another example. It's a funny one. My son, my youngest son, he's got asthma and he's been hospitalized many times due to wheezing and not breathing and blah blah blah, all the rest of it. Spent
Yeah.
the whole night doing nebulized and all the rest of it. So when COVID happened, we were so frightened that if he
Of
catches this
course.
thing,
Yeah.
then it's all over.
Mm.
So literally, it was
You
like
locked him
lockdown,
away,
you
huh?
know, bubble wrap kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Fast forward,
Mm.
the December that same year, my man caught COVID, didn't it?
You done all you could, but he still got it.
He still got it,
Yeah.
and he was like got a fever on one day. I was like, oh no. So literally, we went into my bedroom. I stayed in the bedroom, locked the door, had the whole system, you know, passed the food here, the whole system.
Oh no.
By day 2, my man was cool. It was like, you're right, yeah,
It's
yeah, I'm
over.
cool. It was all over, and as if
Mm.
nothing happened.
Mm.
And then halfway through the
Because of
day,
his
I'm
age.
like,
Because I think if you're young, in it, I think you can deal with it better if you're a young person.
but the thing was, the
You didn't know.
knowledge.
Yeah.
What did we know at the time, and what do we know now?
Mm.
If I had known that it was really a minor for him, I wouldn't have reacted in such a way. But I can never look back on my eye and say, oh, what you did was stupid. It can't be stupid because I was acting on the knowledge I knew. He's high risk, and apparently people are dying all over the place. I mean, we just saw Abdul Wahid do a janaza on TV of
Yes.
a brother who died of COVID. So it was like a joke thing. It wasn't a joke thing at
Yes.
all.
That's
It was
right.
very
That's right.
serious. So
Yeah.
back to the issue of your question about what happened in the brothers and whatnot. With all honesty, looking at it based on what I just said about perspective and having husn al-dhan, having good thoughts that there was nothing political here. They wasn't just doing this because of some kind of political gain or financial gain. Let's ignore that bad thoughts. And we're going purely on the assumption that they were genuinely acting for the best, what they thought was the best interest of the ummah.
Yes.
Then if that was the case, then it is what it is. They did the best they could. And inshallah, maybe we can all learn from their mistakes and whatnot.
But
As for
I
those who
think we can.
acted, unfortunately, as for those who acted due
Yes.
to personal interests, financial interests, pressure from other people, then I have no excuses for those people. And some may think, oh, you have sort of done. No. I know some brothers by name from talking to them directly in private who have said to me themselves, they know it's nonsense, but they go along with it because they fear the backlash of other brothers upon them. They don't want to get ruddied or refuted,
Yes.
so they go along with the nonsense.
Mm.
That's different. They're not acting upon the best interests of the ummah or what they feel to be correct. They're acting politically. That's different. So as
Yeah.
for those people, I exclude those people from my conversation at all. I can completely exclude them. I'm talking about those who genuinely feel that there is some kind of serious risk to the ummah. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, when Allah asks them, why did you act this way? They would have a valid, rational, with evidence that they have, explanation what they're doing. Then it is what it is. I mean, Allah forgive us and them for what we have done. But that's just let everyone know that wasn't the case for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying the general masses should understand that if we're going to say, okay, this masjid is a masjid of bid'ah, and this people are not on the manhaj, and this people are not Salafi, based on the issue of dhanni, okay, people that's just like, okay, it's over now. Well, okay, you have your opinion on this person, and I have my opinion on that person. Okay, let's keep it moving. Why would I? It's just easy. It's an easy point, which a student of knowledge should know. And if he's going to come stand in front of on the member and tell his community, my stance is this upon this person. This is this is, and I'm going to tell you now we're going to hate these Muslims over here because we differ on this Sunni issue. That's just, it's clear battle. It's clear. um, why can't we condemn that kind of stance if it's just an ABC issue? It's just an easy issue.
Um,
Like, why can't we just say,
I
you know
think
what, if people, if you're a student of knowledge and you know Arabic and you're studying with the Mashaykh, you're still going to tell your community our stance on Fulan, this is our opinion on Fulan, and those who hold a different opinion on Fulan, they're not Salafi or they're from Ahlul Bidah. It's how can we say that there's an excuse for them to say, well, you know, that was at the beginning and they didn't know. If you're getting on the member and you saying you're a student of knowledge, how do you do that?
I mean, I think what we could say is that they are, and I guess they still are, certain principles,
Mm-hmm.
and I even go as far as to say innovative principles that some brothers have had and probably
Mm-hmm.
still have, which has led to certain behaviors. So what
Mm-hmm.
principles am I referring to? Number one is this fallacy that you must have an opinion about everyone and everything. For example,
Okay.
someone asked me, "What do you say about so and so?" Imagine I said nothing about it, bro. Imagine I just didn't care about
Yeah.
what it is.
I don't have opinion. But
I don't
even
have an
that saying
opinion.
you don't have an opinion is an opinion. So in which case, I'm going to put you in you're not Salafin now because you're saying you don't have opinion.
Yeah,
And this is
so
this is the foolishness of it. This
that
is the
is that
foolishness
is
of
that
it.
is that is exactly some of the issues that I would say is directly related to why we had some issues in the past. Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
this belief that you must have a stance in order to validate your Salafiyah or your Islam on
Mm-hmm.
individuals,
Mm-hmm.
whereby it's categorically the fact that what you think about individuals is kind of irrelevant.
Yes.
If anything, what matters is your opinion about an issue.
Yes.
But as for your opinion about a person, why is that relevant?
Yes.
Why do I care? Why do you care what I say about my next door neighbor, whether he's a good person or a bad person or whatever? It doesn't. I mean, we have this issue. Man la yukafir al-kafir huwa kafir. Whoever doesn't say a disbeliever is a
Mm-hmm.
disbeliever, then he's a disbeliever. Sorry, that's funny. I want to explain that. There's a position.
Yes.
If a person's a Christian or a Jew or a
Mm-hmm.
Hindu or whatnot, he's not Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
and I call him, and I don't deem him to be a disbeliever, although he's a manifest disbeliever.
Yes.
What does that mean about you and your Islam? I mean, are you validating? Are you saying he's from Islam and that he's from Muwahideen and
Mm.
he's inside the circle of
Are you
Islam?
negating his kufr basically? You say
Basically,
no,
yeah,
he's still a
you're not
mu'min.
acknowledging that he's kufr. So basically,
Mm.
that's a manifestation and a reflection on your beliefs on kufr or not. So we get
Yes.
that. We get
Yes.
that. But the difference in that regards is that this Christian or a Jew or a Hindu, has never claimed to even be Muslim.
Mm.
So it's not like it's not like they say, yeah,
Yeah.
we believe in Muhammad and Islam and blah, blah. It's not even the same.
Mm.
However, we have a person who claims to be Muslim and claims to be Salafi,
Yes. Or from
yeah,
Ahlul Sunnah, yeah.
or
Yeah.
from Ahl Sunnah, yeah. So it's not easy to say that there's some kind of ishtibah, there's some kind of issue here. The person claims to be something, and you're claiming he's not something. So there's two opinions here. He
Mm.
himself is saying with his own tongue, I'm Muslim,
Mm.
or whatever, I'm Ahl Sunnah, and you're saying he's not. So that's a discussion.
Yes.
That's a discussion.
Discussion. Mm-hmm.
But my opinion on this person
Mm-hmm.
is kind of irrelevant because it's not to do with Iman or Kufr.
Yes. Just an opinion. Your opinion.
Just opinion on an individual.
Mm.
What you should ask is, do you say, for example, do you say that let's have an example, that Allah's istiwa means to conquer the arsh, for example?
Mm.
Or do you hold the opinion that it's correct to make ta'wil, to interpret Allah's attributes other than the zahir and the apparent? Do you hold that?
Mm.
Do you hold that opinion?
Mm-hmm.
That's a discussion we can have.
Yes.
But do you say that so person on YouTube who've never met before, and you probably never will ever meet in your life, is
Mm-hmm.
he from Ahl Sunnah or not?
I'm not. Mm. I want to
That's
make a.
a whole different discussion,
Yeah.
because let me explain the difference. The first discussion is quite clear cut. An opinion on a particular mas'ala. The rules are defined, it's known, the evidence is defined, the books on the topic are known. We can have a whole discussion on this clean, nice, pristine, great.
Yes.
This person may hold that opinion, and my opinion about him as a person not only
Yes.
include the first discussion, it's also added on the nuance of iqamat al-hujjah, establishing the proofs,
Yes.
excuses of ignorance, and so many other nuances, which are a lot of
Which
it
you
is
don't
labor.
know.
We don't
Yes.
know. A lot of
You
it is
don't
labor.
know.
Unknown. I've never spoken to the guy. I don't know anything about it. I mean, even
So.
misunderstandings, even statements, like a person might make a statement which is false, manifest false, but he claims to be Ahl Sunnah. So what do? Do we just claim he's Ahl Bid'ah, or do we have Husn al-Dhan and maybe he made a mistake? And on that, I'd like to highlight what Sheikh Salman al-Hayli mentioned about that, actually. He mentioned about this statement of if a person Ahl Sunnah, a person from Ahl Sunnah makes a statement that is incorrect, how do you behave? He said, if a person from Ahl Bid'ah, of deviation to evil and misguidance, makes a statement of misguidance, we take it as his zahir, we take it as it is, because
Yes.
he's misguided. And he claims to be of that sect. He claims to be from the sect of the misguided people. So we're not even he's not claiming
Yes.
to be from us, he's claiming to be
After
from them
something.
anyway. So there's
Yes.
no discussion anyway. So we just take it as it is and leave it like that. But someone who says something which is against Ahl Sunnah but claims to be from Ahl Sunnah, we have a dissonance, we have a conflict. He's saying one thing, but he's saying something else, or is behaving in something else.
Claiming. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, if the statement is false and it's manifest false, we say Ahl Sunnah, the statement is false, and make excuses for him.
Yep.
Why? Because there's so many reasons to make excuses for him. Maybe he's unaware, maybe making a mistake, blah, like you speak to him, blah, the rest of it. If the statement is false, but has ambiguity in it, because of his Salafiyya, because of his Islam, we carry upon the best interpretation. Why? Because his asl of Islam leads us to believe that although his apparent statement is false, he must mean something else. It has to be, because it's Ahl Sunnah, isn't it? That's what Husn al-Dhan means. It means we actually factor in what we see as reality in the situation, in the conversation. We factor it in. It means something. And obviously, if the statement is not false and whatnot, the point here is, if the statement has ambiguity in it, but the apparent is false, we can take the unambiguous, the what's it called, the other interpretation, that is the correct interpretation of what he said. If it has that ihtimal, it has that possibility. Why? Because he must mean that. He can't mean the opposite, because he's from us. He's from our Ikhwan.
Yeah.
That's not his way. His way is not to mean that. So we have this not done, and maybe we would ask him, brother, could you clarify this? Could you, make clear what his situation is and whatnot? Because if you made a mistake, then let the people know so they can be aware. And we don't treat him like a mubtadi'
Like
and
a
blah blah
mubtada.
blah and the rest of it. But again, we don't have that. And why don't we have that? Again, back to the Badr Club. We have Imran. He's done the Badr Club. He's been teaching Tawheed and Sunnah for about a decade. He's been taking the youth off the streets into the masjid for about a decade now. And he's teaching the people about abstaining from the dunya, righteousness, and umrah, and piety, and the rest of it. It's nice to see this Badr Club, and you think, oh, he's calling to the dunya. Apparently, he's calling to the dunya and blah blah. And he's advertising the dunya life, and he's following Alan. What's his name? What's his name? Tate.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate. He's following Andrew Tate, and he's following. So let's assume, for an example, that he literally carbon copied everything Andrew Tate said verbatim, down to the words. Because he's from Ahl Sunnah for the last 10 years, you telling me that there's not on avenue there to think, well, maybe there's something we're missing here. Surely he can't have just gone full ape on Andrew Tate and now he's following a kafir. You can't go from one day telling people that kufar Ahl al-Nar to the next day, I'm going to follow this guy and everything he's doing. It doesn't add up. Surely there must be some explanation here, i.e. maybe he is trying to act like Andrew Tate to draw in people who are maybe influenced by Andrew Tate, so when they come into the door, he gives them something else, give them the haqq. Or maybe what I think is Andrew Tate stuff, maybe I got it wrong or something, maybe it's not Andrew Tate, and it's like, but there's so many explanations that we can have that we can say because he's from Ahl Sunnah, there
Got
must be a
you.
better explanation. Or maybe even the other issue about the issue of the money. Oh, he's fundraising here, and he's also doing a course here. Again, we've known him to be trustworthy, but not known him to steal, not known him to scam people and defraud people out of their money. So surely there must be an explanation here that would mean that he's not scamming someone, because it's not normal or natural for this to happen. I mean, how often do you know people who have got a very high profile Salafi to go out and just blatantly scam people like that and take their money and run? That doesn't happen. But we've lacked, not all of us, but some of us have lacked this husn al-dhan, where we have best thoughts of people. Rather, we were the ones who go to the worst possible interpretation you could possibly have. So you go to look on Charity Commission, you see that his company he's run is in loss. So that must mean the only explanation is that he's trying to use his brother club to fundraise and scam people to pay off his debts. That's the only explanation.
But would you say that having husnul dhan is a principle? Like, it's not a case of well, I'm gonna let you have husnul dhan on this issue with this person. No, that's your default when it comes to Muslim. Okay, let's have a good opinion until evidence comes to me. But to actually think the worst on the first hit is just like, that's just wrong.
الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم. All you who believe, stay away, give your jump, turn away from a lot of dhan, a lot of suspicion. Verily, some of that suspicion is sinful. And another one, إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. If a sinful person comes to you knowledge, then verify it. أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. So you don't afflict people with ignorance, and therefore later on you have regret. And as Sheikh Simon Rahili mentioned again about this, is that this ayah is not restricted to just a person being a fasiq, coming to you information. It can also be the information itself has within it fisq. Meaning the information in it has in it, listen carefully, this is where you bring what he said to what I just said a minute ago. In the information itself, it contradicts that which is known to us.
Gotcha.
If someone comes to you and says, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen makes ta'weel of Allah's attributes. I've had this. I had this before many times in the past when I used to engage with people in debates. So I don't do much anymore, but when I was younger, I did a little more. One guy, Sufi guy, came to me and said, oh, your Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen says that Allah has hands like we have a hand. So now, I know this guy is not gonna just blatantly lie to me that way. Yeah, I know he's not gonna just lie to me at barefaced, because that would be embarrassing. I mean, it's something you can easily verify, and that'd be embarrassing. So I'm assuming he's not gonna just barefaced lie to me. But I also know from studying Ibn Taymiyyah's material that no way he's gonna say Allah's hand is like my hand. It contradicts everything I know about the man from the moment he started teaching to the end where he died. There's no way on planet Earth that he can do that. So what that means is, I'm not accusing the guy himself of being a fasiq, but I'm definitely saying his khabar has fisq. And lo and behold, when I asked him to bring me the evidence, he brought me a quote from one of his books. And when I read it, it said no such thing. In his head, it meant that, as in he read it that way in his head.
His interpretation, yeah.
After I said to him, bro, that's not what it says. He's so convinced that that's what it says. I said, bro, I'm reading you the Arabic. I know what it's saying. That's not what the Sheikh said. But he was still convinced that that's what the Sheikh said. So he was obviously deluded. So that's another issue as well, people to be aware of. Sometimes people are deluded, as in they're not consciously lying.
Yes.
But they generally
Mistaken.
believe their falsehood. That's the issue of delusion, which people need to recognize. Some people, and it's unfortunate, either due to emotions, pure conviction, confusion, lack of understanding, which is another issue people need to recognize. Not everyone actually can understand everything. Maybe nuances they miss nuances. Sometimes people actually venomously and ardently defend something, not because they are fundamentally evil, but somehow in their head it makes sense. It might make sense to you or anyone else who hears it, but to them they're convinced.
Yeah.
That's another excuse. What do you do about a person who genuinely believes something and you can't see how they believe that? They're not saying it out of malice, not saying it out of evil intent. They just, for some reason, either emotions and whatnot, they can't see otherwise.
Mm.
That that confusion could be an excuse, not necessarily always an excuse, but could be an excuse. Even sort of faham, misunderstanding, is an excuse. You read
Yes.
an ayah, you thought something, and it actually meant something completely different. You
Mm.
thought something, and on top of that, listen carefully. You read an ayah as an army person, and you thought it meant X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because you thought it meant that, and it's the ayah you're reading, you're now convinced that this is what Allah said.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an opinion. You're not following what Sheikh so said. You read the ayah, misunderstood the ayah,
Mm.
but didn't realize you're misunderstanding. And now you attribute that misunderstanding to Allah because it came from the ayah,
Yeah.
not realizing it came from yourself.
Mm.
That's actually something that needs to be removed. And that's an excuse for someone. That
Yeah.
you can say to the person, okay, have an excuse to the brother. His understanding is not that great. As in, when you speak to him, he misunderstands things a lot. That's actually a genuine excuse. That person, you might say, you know what, the guy is saying that, but you know, I try my best to talk to him. He doesn't understand it. You know, Qadr, may Allah forgive him. That's why we say things like may Allah forgive him, because we have the excuse that maybe he just misunderstood. But we need to understand that sometimes people lose that rahmah when it comes to dealing with each other, myself included. By the
I
way,
think
I'm
that's a
not saying
key
that it's
that's a
others.
key
Even
point.
myself.
I think that's a very key point. That is where where is the rahmah gone between the Muslims, especially between people of Ahl Sunnah? Seems like it's gone. Like if you make a step to the left, step to the right, you're finished. You know what I'm saying? People just write you off quick time. We need to bring that back.
One thing I think myself, maybe others can benefit from, but I do definitely apply for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sometimes I ask myself, how does it impact me?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if so and so over the way believes X, Y, Z, which is in my view incorrect,
Mm.
how does his belief impact me specifically? No doubt, it's my responsibility, and I acknowledge that responsibility. That I need to advise him. I need to encourage him to do good. I need to advise him to righteousness. No doubt, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt, I get that. That's not, no one's even disputing or disregarding that. However, once he's gone his way and I've gone my way, what does his belief, or how does his belief impact me? Let me give you an example. Sometimes I've said this many a time to many people. They said to me, brother, this brother comes to me. This brother came to me the other day, and he's speaking to him, brother. What do you know about him? Is he Salafi? What do you know about him? Is he Salafi?
Mm.
And I ask him, why do you want to know?
Mm.
And sometimes some of them actually get surprised, because for them, that this is an ajib question. I mean, what do you mean, why would I want to know? I want to know who he's Salafi or not. I said, but why do you want to know? I mean,
Mm.
and I clarify when they ask me, what do you mean? I say, do you want to do business with him? Do you want to marry him to your daughter? Do you want to
Mm.
marry into his family? Do you want to make him your best friend? Do you want to make him the imam of the masjid? I mean,
Yeah.
what exactly do you want to do with him for you to need to know if he's Salafi or not?
Yeah.
Let's say nothing. I have no need to do any of that.
Yeah.
Then why do you need to know if he's Salafi or not? I mean,
Mm.
no doubt, if you want to take him as a close badan, a close friend who you consult with and get advice with and take knowledge from,
Mm.
no doubt, knowing if he's Salafi or not means something, because obviously, if you're going to take your deen from someone, then you need to know if is someone to take deen from.
Yeah.
But if it's not someone you're going to take deen from, it's just someone you met, like in the local, is a local butcher. Is a local
Mm.
butcher. He cuts your meat up for you and then gives you meat when you pay him money. Do I need to know he's Salafi or not?
No, at all. Won't help you. Mm.
No, seriously. I mean, it's a valid question.
Mm.
Everyone who's listening to me, especially those who disagree with me, ask yourself a simple question: does it matter if your butcher is Salafi or not? Does it matter if your next door neighbor is Salafi or not? Now, some would say, yeah, but I need to know how to behave with him. I mean, if he's Salafi, I treat him one way. If he's not Salafi, I treat him. Well, is it
Mm.
really? I mean,
Mm.
shouldn't you
I
be
mean, no,
nice to everyone? I mean,
yeah. I mean,
if anything, shouldn't you be
this
more
was
nice to a person not Salafi, so you can show them this is what Salafi is? You know,
yeah,
good behavior,
yeah.
good ma'awala. I mean, are you telling me that you're only going to be nice to someone if you're on your clique, and if not on your clique, you're going to be straight face?
Well, Sheikh, this was the mentality of it has to be a Salafi school, Salafi shop. I'm only buying from him if he's Salafi. Even though this person, he might wear the badge Salafi, but maybe he wasn't a good Muslim. Do you get what I'm saying?
Brother,
But
check this out.
he still wears the Salafi tag. And the point was that we're gonna make serious decisions just based on something I'm Salafi, and then we think we're gonna give him our daughters and go into business just because it says that term. That term, it depends how they wear that term.
Check
Do you
this
get
out,
what I'm
brother. Check this
saying?
out. Check this out. And I think brothers who do this need to really check themselves.
Mm.
Listen to this scenario. This happened to me 2012 or 13. Maybe it's like before that. I was looking to buy a car. So I went down south, found a car, went to look at it, blah, blah. Turns out the guy who was selling the car was Qadiani. But who cares? I'm buying a car. Anyway, so there was it was time to pray. I need somewhere to pray. So there was a local masjid, which happened to be Qadiani, so therefore it's not really a masjid, but I needed somewhere to pray. So I was going to go there just to find a place to pray. Not that I was going to pray with them,
with
but
the Imam.
just somewhere, not praying on the street because it's dirty. I just want somewhere to just pray. So I went to the place, and lo and behold, they wouldn't actually let me in until I had some ID, which is ajib. But it made sense because they have their Khalifa.
They're under attack, innit?
Yeah, they're not their main guy, their Khalifa. They have the head of their whole Jama'ah in the world. That's actually where he was, and that's where he is. So I understand why they do that. But putting that aside, they were the most nice, helpful, loving people that I came across. I mean, on that day, it was like, it was hugging me. How are you? Where are you from? Blah.
Yeah.
Even some old guy, big beard. I'm like, wow, these kafar are mad, isn't
it? They want to give you dawah, brother.
They want to give me dawah. So I
Yeah.
had a debate. We had a whole like hour-long debate with them outside the temple,
Yeah.
whatnot, and whatnot. Anyway, fast forward. End of the day, I went back to my own area in Leighton, and some brothers, it was Ramadan time, some brothers are doing Taraweeh on Libby Road. Not in Libby Road Masjid, but in some place in Libby Road. And I thought, let's go there because apparently it's the Salafis doing the Taraweeh in there. So I thought I'll go and step in and do Taraweeh. Did Taraweeh, and at the end of it, saw some brother I knew from back in the day. I was like, oh, assalamu alaikum, brother, how are you? It's like, I took my hand up, I went to give him a hug. What did my man do?
No.
Push me away.
No way. Which is in Ramadan. After the Salah. He just
in Ramadan. Listen.
Come on.
In Ramadan.
Yes.
After Salah Tarawih, straight after the Salah, I go to give salams. And he said, Walaikum salam. Grab my hand, like he shake my hand, but push me back. So in my head, I'm thinking, wait, you have
how?
Is Ahl al-Kufr.
Yes.
Guaranteed Ahl al-Kufr, confirmed. Being the nicest, most inviting people ever. And the people who claim to be Ahl al-Sunnah, Ahl al-Din, Ahl al-Salah, who are treating apparently someone who's also Salafi as well, like he's a Qadiani.
Okay, check.
Wait. One last example. Our brother, I knew. We went to college together. We not only that, my wife even breastfed his kid, so his son is my son through Radha'a. Brother said to me, oh, he works in one country, in one city. He's but the brother works with me in the same place. I said, mashallah, convey my salams. I ain't seen him in a long time. Next day, brother comes back to me, he says, astaghfirullah. I said, what happened? So now, man, I'm just so angry. He said, what? So I conveyed your salams, like he told me to. And Rob said to me, khudhu, take it back.
So I mean, what I'm saying, we may laugh at this point, but as we've gone over this point already. But the point is that how can you take that stance with another Muslim who's clear from Ahl Sunnah over an ikhtilaf, over an issue? What is zanni? How can you throw away an obligation? How do you throw away an obligation? How do you throw an obligation of giving salams in Ramadan after Taraweeh prayer over an issue which is zanni? How?
Well, that's the issue. What was the issue that was zanni?
What was the issue? Yeah, what was the issue?
Not with the brothers. Muawiyah's not with the brothers.
It does
Muawiyah doesn't hold the same stance as the brothers towards other people.
towards on the mas'ala. Is it on the mas'ala which is qat'i, or is it something
Well,
which is
to
on the person?
to this day, no one has really explained to me exactly what I've done wrong, except for let's bring it. Let's apply this funny joke. Except for when I graduated, someone asked me to do a talk at a particular location, and I said, "Cool, let's do this." And it turns out that at the same location, they also asked Murtada Khan to do a talk. So I was like, okay. Some brothers say he's takfiri, some say it's not takfiri. I don't know about it. So what I did, as a normal person I would do, I phoned the brother who apparently knows Murtada Khan. I said to him, bro, me and you went to Medina together. Me and you graduated from Medina from Sharia together. I know you, you know me. Is Murtada Khan Khariji? Does he make takfir of the rulers? He said, categorically not at all. I said, okay.
Cool.
If this is what someone who's close friend to him says about him, then I accept that. So I went along and did the talk with him. And then on top of that, after he did his talk, I sat down to listen to him just to verify. Does he have something in him of takfir? Does he have something of khuruj? And I heard in my own ears, Murtada Khan say, of the paraphrasing, because like over a decade ago. And come on, guys, we all know that Saudi Arabia is the only country that establishes Sharia. That phrase. We all know Saudi Arabia is the only country that establishes Sharia. And I heard that saying to myself, no takfiri says that. There's no person of takfir who says that Saudi Arabia establishes Sharia. They will say the complete opposite. So I took it that whatever the accusation against him is not correct.
Oh, maybe he said, maybe he had opinion. He held opinion 2 years ago. Maybe his opinions have changed. Many things, many issues.
Point was, I made a personal ijtihad that if this person has issues of takfir, then no doubt I would abstain from some kind of ta'awun, which wasn't with him, by the way. Someone else invited me. He was invited as well. But we weren't even on the same platform. I had my talk. He wasn't even there. And he did his talk. I wasn't there. But whatever.
Yes.
But it turns out that was a big no-no. And it turns out brothers are not happy with that. And not happy that I didn't share their opinion with Murtada Khan. And also unhappy that I verified it themselves. And they weren't happy that I didn't accept their opinion. I said, but how would I accept your opinion about a person when I verified himself from him that it's not true? Are you telling me that I must ignore what the man himself says about himself and take your opinion on what you say about him?
What you heard, which is
what they heard and what not. Anyway, that maybe some other things related to that was the issue. And because of that, we have what we have. But back to the point of the issue of Dhanni, the issue is not to do with me, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was wrong in all that. Who cares?
Yes.
Point is, what was the result of an individual having an opinion about another individual? Pushing someone away when they give them salams? Telling someone to take your salams back, I don't want you to give me salams? Is this justified?
Is this from the usul of Ahl Sunnah? Is this how Muslims should behave, basically?
Bro, we don't even do it to Hanafis, brother. We don't even do it to people who we meet in the masjid. We give salams to Hanafis and invite them to our place and be nice to them. So why do we have this behavior? And we see that same behavior, and even Imran actually mentioned himself in his most recent video. Says, why is it us Salafis are the most vicious against ourselves?
Big question.
We seem to be the most harshest against ourselves. That any slip up, any mistake we make, immediately making
I think
videos,
we should
and we're recording videos and we're saying this person blah 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 and a'udhu billah and ittaqillah and what is it?
I think we need to cut piece of this video and send it out and get people to actually comment. Why are Salafis so harsh amongst the Salafis? Why? And say get some reply like, why is it we're so quick?
I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly why. I'm not saying
jealousy amongst the students.
No.
Jealousy.
No. There is an element of bid'ah here. In my view. And I mentioned this to Farouk, rahimahullah, may Allah forgive him and us all.
I mean,
when I had a discussion with him initially, and I said, you guys have i'tizal. You resemble the Mu'tazila. I said, A'udhu billah, how you call us Mu'tazila? I said, I never called you Mu'tazila. I said, you resemble the Mu'tazila. Why? The Mu'tazila have this thing called manzila bayna manzilatayn. I.e., you're not kafir, but you're not Muslim. you're in the middle.
Mm.
And why did they do that? Because they knew from what they studied, they can't call you a kafir for major sins, because that's incorrect. That's what the Khawarij do.
Yeah.
But they don't want to acknowledge what you're doing, or they want to bring it into the fold because it goes against their belief that you're committing major sin. So what they do, they make a new position, a new menzila, a new state in between the two. And they plant you right in the middle of that situation. So what do these guys do? They don't call you innovator.
Yes.
You're not innovator. But also you're not Salafi.
Your manhaj is not clear.
You're not clear.
You're not clear, Salafi, brother.
You're not here Ahl Sunnah, but also not Ahl Bid'ah. You're menzila, bayna manzilatayn.
Someone from eBay is here.
Okay, bro, give me 1 second.
Father Chair. One second. Okay, the Sheikh will return. So I think it's a very, very important point which the Muslims or the Salafis went through in regards to criticizing other Muslims that differed with them. And as you can see from the discussion that we've been having, that through issues where there was ikhtilaf,
Sorry about that, bro.
went to astray.
Someone came from eBay to pick up something. Yeah.
No problem, Father Sheikh.
So basically, this is something I'm going to draw people's attention to, so they can be aware of this. If someone is from Ahl Sunnah, Salafiyya, to me, that's the same thing. Ahl Sunnah, Salafiyya, great. If someone's from Ahl Bid'ah, then great. But this thing in the middle here, this manzila bayna manzilatayn, it don't exist.
It don't exist. Yes.
Now, some say, but how can you say that? I mean, the thing is, there's a whole array of things which have led to this. From things that reinforce this is the belief of the general rule of a Muslim is that they are unknown, they are doubtful, until they make themselves known to be Salafi. So what they're saying, what they've done with this is that they've made this.
Is that a principle? Is that a principle in Islam or not?
Well, we'll come to that in a minute. But they made this description, Salafi, something is earned. Now that's true. It's like anything, really. As in, if you just met someone on the street, there's nothing, you know nothing about the person at all. You don't even know if he's Muslim. Then obviously you don't know. Obviously he's unknown. But if he says to you, Assalamu alaikum, that on its own, just the salams, is evidence that he's Muslim. And you can't now still say, I don't know. Bro, man said Assalamu alaikum, is Muslim. Okay, there are many things. If you're in Saudi Arabia, for example, Saudi Arabia, a person from their secondary school, from kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, college, university, in the khutbah, Jum'ah, every Jum'ah, every Eid Salah, everywhere they go, there is Salafiyah, there is Deen being taught, there is Sunnah being taught, there's Tawheed being taught. So the general rule is that that's what they are. They're upon Sunnah, Ahl Sunnah. Why not? Why don't you need to doubt someone whose only upbringing is in Salafiyah? If someone's in Iran, their secondary school, their primary school, everything is Tashayyu', Shi'ism. Why would I assume he's Salafi? His whole upbringing is Shi'i. So there is this that does exist. I get that. But the thing is, what they do with this issue of the general rule of a Muslim is that they're unsure, is they go and take to the next level. They make this unsure level something they can put you in. So maybe you're Salafi today, but now I saw you rolling with so-and-so. Maybe now we're shifting back onto this thing. Well, wait, he needs to clarify. He's going to be now in this unknown position until he clarifies and comes back to here. As if he could just do that. He can go back and forth. You're Salafi, you're unclear. You're Salafi, you're unclear. You're Salafi, unclear. He said something unsure. Okay, he's unclear. Until
like a chess piece. You just like you're playing drafts with him.
You're pouring to black, now you're into white, and now you're into black. No.
Yeah.
If a person is known to be Salafi, meaning that he has the apparent of Ahl Sunnah, leave it at that. Move on. Get on with your life.
And you can't move him until you're gone.
You can remove that is with surety likewise. As
something which is qat'i.
As something not necessarily qat'i, but as Sheikh Falih al-Harabi, and I mentioned his name specifically as a internal joke. The Sheikh Falih al-Harabi mentioned that you cannot remove someone's Salafiyya
Mm-hmm.
or Sunniyya unless you have evidence that is stronger than what made him Salafi in the first place. Just like you
Okay.
can't remove a person's Islam, yes, is Muslim, unless you have evidence that is stronger than what made him Muslim in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Which comes down to the principle we all know and agree in Islam is al-yaqeenu la yazulu bishak. Surety is not removed by doubt.
A doubt. Got you.
Even if you think someone's doing something doubtful, that can't remove the fact you knew before he was Salafi.
Mm. Mm.
So are you telling me
Got you.
everyone is doubtful until they've proven without a shadow of a doubt they're Salafi? And even that proof that you're Salafi can now just be removed by some doubts? You can't do that, brother.
From a statement. Mm.
You can't do that. If a person, even if he says stuff which is against Ahl Sunnah, you have to have absolute surety that he's no longer Ahl Sunnah, which requires time. Just being friends with someone or not showing an opinion about someone, these things is not yaqeen yet. This doesn't remove the fact that a person takes from Quran and Sunnah, takes from the ulama you take from. It doesn't do that. But like I said, remember what I said to you about the Mu'tazila. Remember this. Manzila, bayna manzilatayn. They are neither here, you're neither there. You're in this unknown, uncanny thing. And why did they do this? The same motivation of the Mu'tazila. Mu'tazila didn't want to be called Khawarij, so they made this new position.
Yes.
These guys don't want to be called Haddadi, who they make people Mubtadi' innovators based on whatever
Just
mistakes a person makes. As soon as a person makes a mistake, innovator. As soon as a person makes a mistake, innovator. So assuming doing a talk with Murtada Khan was a mistake.
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna remove everything man know about me, but just because I did a talk with
We're gonna say your
Khan.
manhaj. Okay, so say someone says, "Oh, now Mario Tucker, his manhaj is not clear. So if he comes to me, I'm not gonna give him salam. I'm gonna ignore him. I'm gonna throw his salam back in his face because now he's become unclear." Astaghfirullah. Is this
So the
how
question now
Ahlus? No, is this how Salafis behave? Is this the behavior?
I do believe it's the minority. I don't think majority.
Yes,
I think
we understand,
my
but
minority behave that way. But back to that phrase. This is something everyone to learn from. It's not just about whinging. It's not about us whinging. It's about people learning. If someone says so and so's behavior was not clear, like what said to me, you're not clear. So, and I said to them, okay, what was my opposition before we had this issue? What was your issue then? And then back in the past, when you knew me before, when you brought me into your area and I was lived in your home and whatnot, when we were all Salafi back then, was I clear then? So if I was clear then, and you had surety I was clear then, what surety do you have now to remove that surety then? Because you can't
what yaqeen do you have?
You can't remove
Yes.
the shak. This
Got
is
you.
really important. If you know someone to, and same thing the issue of Ibn Taymiyyah. I know Ibn Taymiyyah is not a mujassima. Ibn Taymiyyah doesn't say Allah's hands like our hands and Allah's eyes like our eyes and the rest of it. We don't say that. So he didn't say that. That's yaqeen.
Yes.
The only way you're going to remove that from my head is if you bring me yaqeen likewise. You can't just bring an accusation and this is what he said and bring some ambiguous statement. And this kind of now, this is actually bringing all this what we discussed in the last hour together now. Brings it all together now. Yaqeen and shak. You cannot remove surety with doubtful matters.
Got you.
If something is sure and you knew something was the case before, you can't now have doubt and say, okay, well, because I'm doubtful, I'm going to now ignore the surety. This is the recipe for muwaswis, which is why you do find, unfortunately, some of these people who have this manhaj also have what seems to be like wiswas. They're constantly doubting people, always looking around and always suspicious. They're overly suspicious of people. How would you become overly suspicious? You become that way due to being a muwaswis, having principles that goes against the principle of Ahl Sunnah, i.e., yaqeen la yazulu bishak. One of the cures of this of wiswas is this principle. You saw the water on your arms.
Yes.
And now you have doubt that you did it. Remove the doubt. Ignore it. Continue. Because the Amawaswis, his sickness is that he now favors the doubt more than he favors the reality, the yaqeen. All the yaqeeniyat goes out the window and the doubt becomes the main thing. And that's why, this is very carefully, this is another point which is unrelated to what we were talking about, but is a very important principle for us to learn. A muwaswis is one step behind kufr. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Because the wiswas can, if it grows more than just wudu, to now become the salah, to now become X, Y, and Z, it can actually grow to the level of imaniyat.
Affecting
And
your
I've seen it
iman.
myself. I've had people come to me with doubts about the religion, about the Quran, about Allah, about stuff. And they've come to me crying their eyes out about dealing with these doubts. And after speaking to them about half an hour only, or less even, I realized they were muwaswis. And I asked them, how is your wudu? When you make wudu, how does it happen? And almost always they tell me it takes them like 15 minutes, 10 minutes to do wudu.
Yeah.
So what's happened is
Gotcha.
that their constant given importance to that which is doubtful led them
Yes.
to now consider the doubts of the Ahl Kufr. So when the Kuffar say the Quran is corrupt, or the Quran is not from Allah, or the Quran has been changed, these are just doubts, these are just claims, just they're baseless claims. But because you give importance to baseless claims, and baseless claims mean something to you,
Yes.
now it's like, well, maybe that's true. Maybe the Quran
Yeah.
is being corrupted. Maybe the Quran has been changed. Maybe it has something else. And again, that actually happened. I had someone in the center crying their eyes out. I said to him,
Yes.
he said, I fear that I'm a munafiq. I said, bruv, if you're a munafiq, why are you crying?
Yes.
Munafiqun don't cry about their kufr.
Yeah. They're happy with it.
They're happy with it.
Yeah.
If that those tears is evidence of your iman. So
Of
why are you
iman.
doubting it? And he
So.
paused, but he still couldn't. It was still hard for him to just grasp that. But how I do this and I do that. I'm surely I'm not as bruv. How are you even doubting your iman?
Yes. Yeah.
You're even
Because you're
Muslim.
sad. You're sad about it. You have sorrow for it. Yeah.
You have sorrow for it. But the point is, you now have shak upon the yaqiniyat. So back to these guys again. Muslims have lost their qawaid, or not even know about their qawaid. You have a
Gotcha.
person who is known for sunnah, who is known for teaching the deen for many, many years. He's graduated from an Islamic institution of deen. He sat with mashayikh of deen. He's taught, he refers to them, he talks to them, he calls them, he references them. He makes one statement. Oh, doubtful. Maybe he's Ahl Bid'ah, maybe he's this, maybe he's that, maybe he's from the Ikhwaniyin, the Hizbiyin. Brother, are you going to ignore everything? Like the last 10, 15 years of my man's life? Not to say that what they're saying is incorrect, but it's just that you can't ignore what you already have.
Yes.
So anyway, that was a bit
I mean,
of
and the point is, and I mean, the issues that you've clarified that not moving a person out of Ahl Sunnah based on dhan or based on an ijtihad.
Well, again, I before even the issue of removal of Ahl Sunnah, my first question is, does it matter to me? For the everyday Joe, for example, what's your opinion, brother, on Bi Ahmed?
Be who?
Bi Ahmed.
I don't know who that brother is, brother. I don't know. I don't know who that.
But how can you not know, brother? This is he's spreading dalal, he's talking about principles of ibadah and the dhabit of ibadah. And how can you, what's your stance, brother, on Bi Ahmed?
I don't know. It doesn't concern me, brother.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm asking you about something which is happening, not in your area, nothing to do with you. You haven't shown me any signs that you carry his opinion, you carry his views. If I explain to you even his views and what he's doing and whatnot, do you even need to have an opinion about the guy? If you don't know the guy, he's not even in your circle of knowledge. It's irrelevant for you, Ismail, to have a position about a person. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, no one's going to ask you before you get into Jannah. By the way, what's your position about Muawiyah and his stance about calling people Mu'tazili and the brothers and whatnot? Are you going to be asked about that? Or are you going to be asked about your salah, your relationship with Allah, how you treated other Muslims? Did you invite other people to Islam? Did you invite your parents to Islam? Did you invite your children to Islam? Did you invite your neighbors to Islam? What you did?
The importance,
did, your actions. Not what other people said, what their actions or your view on it, but what you did. So people lost their focus, and I think that's Salafism need to bring it back. Learn your Salafiyah from the ulama of Salafiyah, from the principles, educate yourself on these principles, ground it in your heart, teach it to your family, educate your family so they can also ground themselves in the truth and be the best Muslim you possibly can. I don't know any much more you need to do.
I think, just going back, as I said, we started off the position of the student of knowledge, that they hold this position in leading the community, keeping the community focused, keeping away fitna from the layman. It's a very, very important and responsible position. That you got obviously student knowledge. They travel, they sit down with the mashaykh, they hear things, and not everything should be brought to the community. Not everything should be spoken about on the member. What should your community be busy with? Do you get what I'm saying? What's going to save them or save the community and purify the community? That's what we need to be busy
So
with.
I think the Tulab al-Ilm is upon them to focus their people upon what benefits them immediately and in their locality. So think of it like a shepherd and his flock. His main focus is to make sure his sheep, I'm not saying this to belittle anyone, by the way. We're all sheep, by the way.
All sheep, yeah.
Let's not deceive ourselves. It's make sure that his sheep do the best that they can. They graze where they're supposed to graze. They don't harm themselves by going outside the boundaries. That they consume and procreate and develop and grow and blah blah blah. And they do what they're supposed to do, and that they don't busy the sheep with affairs of another farm somewhere else that doesn't affect them. So for example, teaching the people Tawheed, which I think every single time I've heard from the Mashayikh to the Tullab, whenever they give advice to the Tullab, specifically in the West or even Mashayikh, they almost always say, teach Tawheed, teach people Tawheed, warn them against shirk, teach about the Sunnah, Barak is the Sunnah, educate them about the Sunnah, educate them about the good akhlaq of the Muslim, amongst themselves, but again, with regards to trade, their dealings with each other, grow, build your community, build community ties amongst themselves. Build something in your community. Normally, you would see the effects of the talib by the community he has built.
Got you.
This is what they do. If the results of what you have brought to community is conflict and isms and splitting, where there was no need for splitting, let me qualify that. You cause splitting in your community when there was no need to cause splitting. Bring it to them affairs that was not relevant to the people. It didn't affect them in their daily lives. I would say that's a disservice to them and to focus on what they need to do. Like, for example, right now, I'm looking at the questions here. It says here, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. What if a person is Salafi but doesn't openly say? That's a question. And the second question is, what is Murtaza Khan on? So, to answer that question, how I would answer that question is, what the person doesn't openly say to Salafi? Again, is it important? Answer the question. Is it important to know what a person is upon? Listen carefully. It may be important for some. For example, if I said to you, there's a dars on Tawheed in so-and-so land, so-and-so land. Yeah. And the lesson is great. Then you might ask me, but is the brother Salafi? Can I take knowledge from him? That's a valid question. Why? Because his Salafiyah has a direct impact on me because he's teaching me about Salafiyah. He's teaching me about Sunni, teaching me about Islam. So of course I need to ask. Okay, there's a guy, he sells iPhones at a local shop on discount. Cheap iPhones. He's a good brother. But is he Salafi? I don't know, brother, but I don't really know if it matters. And this is why I'm saying it doesn't really matter. For example, if you know Murtaza Khan, which is the second question, what's Murtaza Khan on? Okay, if you're in his locality and you want to take knowledge from him, then fair enough, ask the question. And I would say ask the question to those who know him. I don't know him personally. I know those who know him, but I don't know him personally. All I know is the few things I mentioned to you, I know, and that's about it. And the zahir, the apparent, is that he teaches Salafiyya or teaches Sunniyya, and it doesn't come out of anything that goes against Ahl Sunnah from the apparent. If you know something different, then act upon what you know in it. But from what I know, I don't know other than that. But the reason why I don't care, personally, because I don't take from knowledge from him, or pretty much anyone from the UK like that. So it doesn't impact me. He's not asking to marry my daughter. I'm asking to marry my kids into his family. It's not like we have business together like that. So, he does his thing, I do my thing. He's Sunni enough for me to want to defend him against enemies of Islam and the rest of it. And what more do I need to know? So the question is not whether the question is valid or not. The question is it is the question in its right place?
Yes. Does it concern
Is
you?
the
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
in its right place? What is Murtaza Khan on? Yeah, ask the question. If you want to take from him, if you have no intention of taking from him, then move on, innit? Go to other people and take knowledge from them and ask about that.
But even
If
that question, if you want the right answer for that question, you got to ask someone who knows him. Maybe ask him himself, but to ask someone who's miles away from him, who just narrating what he heard from somebody else, who narrated from someone, even that is not even a correct answer. So
no, so you can do that. Let me explain. You
mm,
can do that, but you have to recognize that every time there's a person in the chain, it makes it
yes,
even more than
yes, yeah,
as in,
mm,
surely someone who knows person directly and personally
mm-hmm.
is a higher level of yaqeen to a person who's heard through secondhand information or just heard a clip from a tape or snippet from or a question from a person. Just like what happened with the Dawah Man thing or Imran.
Yes,
When the sheikhs were asked questions first about his projects, they were asked through a third party, someone else,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and they answered based on what was given to them.
mm-hmm.
When he himself asked the same question, he was given different answers, even to the same sheikh.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's important. It's important. Ask the right
So,
question to the
in
right
essence,
person.
if you were to summarize all our discussion here, is
Mm,
recognize
mm,
that when you ask a question or from someone else, or when you hear someone else's position,
mm.
understand that it can either be a subjective, relative position based on what they know, and it's in the realms of dhanniyat, or it could be an absolute fact.
He said this. I heard it.
You need to know where you stand. Is it a fact, or is it dhanniya? Is it what's it called? Speculative. If it's
Speculative
speculative, you do
opinion.
you, I do me. If it's an
Mm,
absolute fact, then it's an absolute fact. But I think it's very rare you'd find um, issues so clear cut. Life is never that simple. Life is never that simple.
mm.
That's why, like I said, when it comes to people ask me all the time about what I say about this person, what I say about that person, I say, look, I don't need, and that's one last point here. I think we've spoken about almost 12 now, but one last point I
Yeah.
think people recognize. I think this is probably even the most important thing for the army.
Mm.
You don't need to have a hukum on every individual. Not this is different. This is different from what I said before. As in, why do you need to know? The other point is you don't need to have an opinion about everyone. Meaning, when you have an opinion about someone, you're now carrying a responsibility on your back. You're carrying a
Yes.
burden on your shoulder. Just saying this person is an innovator, this person is mubtadi', this person is dhal mudil, and you're conveying it to other people. You're carrying on your back a responsibility, a
Burden. Yeah.
mas'uliyah, that you're going to
Mm,
be asked about Yawm
mm,
al-Qiyamah.
mm.
Why would you not increase the number of questions you're asked Yawm al-Qiyamah? You already have enough questions to answer about your actions. Why did you pray at this time? Why did you not give money to this person and ask for a favor? Why did you backbite this person? You have so many things to already ask already or answer already Yawm al-Qiyamah. Why
Mm,
add more onto your plate? There's no need to
mm,
ask. Oh, so no need to have such a stance.
mm.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
So anyway, that's that one. And I'm sure
Chef.
there's a lot of backlash on this one, and I'm sure
No, no.
Mark
I think. I
off
think.
it
I
on that
think.
one.
I think. In summary, it was an excellent reflection as to where and how Muslims should be. How we should behave, the position of the student of knowledge, position of the layman, and how we should carry knowledge and what we should busy ourselves with, how we should look on other Muslims and have mercy, more mercy between us, and leave the suspicion. And like, no one can't really argue with that. I don't care. Whoever wants to argue with that, then you know we leave them to where they are. So it was an excellent nasiha, Sheikh. um Inshallah, we'll see you again. Any final advices before we sign off, Sheikh?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say in finality, because we mentioned a lot of things, and those who may even know what we may even know what we may have alluded to in the past
Yes,
from different events in the
yes.
past, maybe listening. My final statement is, and it's always and it has always been,
Mm-hmm.
is that I have no malice against any one of the brothers who has malice towards me. I don't say that
Mm-hmm.
in terms of to be some kind of I'm so pious or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's real, meaning that I don't care if you hate me or don't hate
Mm-hmm.
me. If you come to me and give me salams and smiley face, I return the salams, I give you a hug, and we get by and whatever, we move
Yes.
on. Because You do you, I do me. I worship Allah. I know what I have to answer for, and I know what you have to answer for. You have to answer for, and there's no reason for there to be an ongoing ism and schism. There is no reason, and there's been many times in the past where I've actually reached out my hand to these people and said, bro, let's work together, let's do stuff because there's a greater good, and they've gone and done whatever they need to do. But I'm not gonna draw into that.
I would go further, Sheikh. I would go further and say how we behaved when we was young teenagers and growing up and ignorant. People are now granddads. You get what I'm saying? With grandkids and in their 40s and 50s. It's impossible you can behave the same way and have the same understanding when you're 25, energetic, sitting down with scholars, didn't know Arabic, you know, super excited about finding the truth and being on Salafiyah. You cannot have that same mentality and same opinions. Now you're 45, 50, 60, and you're still going to hold those, oh, my man's off Salafiyah because of some done issue. It's impossible. You can't unless there's some other alternative motive. So I've spoken to some of the elders before, and everyone gets on face to face and gives salams or whatever. But still, people hold their corner. People still hold their positions. But we say, may Allah guide us all, guide us all, inshallah.
But yeah, I mean, what you just said, I don't want to make this longer than it needs to be. But I think what you just said, we did miss that point. Is that that is very true. I mean, so when I first became Muslim, I was about 18, 17, 18, and when I went to go to Medina University, I was about 20. When I graduated, I was about 28, and now I'm 41. So all these issues that we were mentioning from the back in the days of the noughties and the issues and Mutabakha and blah, when we were all young and whatnot, realistically, I have children that are older than when I first became Muslim. I have children now that are in university, and they have children who are in university. I even met a brother the other day who's a couple of his kids are now married and they have children. So
yes,
really and truly, that's a very good question. Do you still have beef, brother? As in, if my daughter was to marry your son, are we still beefing that way? That we're never going to attend the walima and stuff like that.
Over what? Over what? What some sheikh said in another country to another sheikh?
Someone in the noughties that I don't know about anymore and probably is passed on and whatnot. I mean that's a good point.
Move on.
Ali Hassan and Salim Halal and them guys. I think even one of them passed away the other day.
Yeah,
I'm Salim Halal.
One of them died of COVID. Yeah,
yeah. So
Hilali, I think
the man's dead now.
Or is it Ali Hassan? I'm not sure.
Are we still really beefing that we can't get along and move forward? But like I said, unfortunately, there are some aqdi issues which may maintain that. Like I said, this issue of menzila bayna menzilatayn, this position of there's this state of you're not an innovator, but you're also Salafi. That's an issue.
That is a bid in itself.
That's an issue itself. Now it's possible that you may be from anyway, let's not make it longer than it is. We've already explained what
we're going to open another bab.
But the point is, come on, bro.
Come on, brothers.
Some kind of maturity where we can move forward in this regard. I mean,
yes.
Surely one can just do what they need to do. I mean, anyway.
The deen is clear. We're big man now. Man has to grow up in it and just realize the mistakes of the past and move on and understand that we did some foolishness.
But as much as you say that, brother, unfortunately, from what I've experienced, even very recently, for some, not much has changed. For some, let's have a good opinion of the brothers. Even though the Mashaykh may come to this country, the same Sheikh we reference to and they reference to, they will still try their best to keep you at bay from speaking to the Sheikh directly. They will try and keep you at bay from having engagement with the Mashaykh. They will even refuse sitting down with the Mashaykh and resolving the issues. They will still do that. Why? Who knows? But
who knows? May Allah guide them and guide us. We'll have a good opinion. We'll try and have a good opinion of them and say, inshallah, when we see them and meet them, we'll give them salams and give them a hug. And inshallah, that will make the bonds grow, inshallah. Inshallah. Sheikh, once again, very insightful time. Can't wait to sit down again with you next week, inshallah. For your insight and your knowledge on this point. Sheikh, we have to give salams, inshallah. We have to stop now. We nearly at 2 hours, yeah?
And by the way, again, just in case the brother may see or may hear this thing, brother, if you're listening to me, whoever you are, you know who you are. Even though you told me you take my salams back, I still love you, bro.
Throw it back to him again. Give it to him again, innit? And see what happened.
No. Seriously. We were good friends from college, bro. We were good friends from college. Even like I said to you, his son is my son from Rada'a, from breastfeeding, and my daughter is son as well. We spent time together, we lived together. I have no issues with you. So let's bury the hatchet and move on, bro. There's no need for the nonsense.
Call him, brother. Call him. He'll pick up this time. If you're calling him, pick up the phone this time, inshallah. Once he sees this video, everything's gonna be good, inshallah. We hope. Barakallahu feekum, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.